Welcome to Storytimer at Large. Michelle Ann Hoffman. Michelle Ann Hoffman was born on March 7th, 1962. Her mother was Fran Hoffman. Her grandmothers were Mrs. Bessie Papuchike and Mrs. Phyllis Ross. Michelle had a half sister whose name in 1981 was Mrs. Linda Dermanelian. Michelle was a secretary for a veterinarian at the Toledo Zoo for a couple of years before her death in 1981. She was living with her aunt and uncle, Mr. and Mrs. Tom Ross, at 1282 Glenview Road. Mr. Tom Ross was a homicide detective with the Toledo Police. It was reported that the two were her foster parents as well as her aunt and uncle. Mrs. Ross was the sister of Fran Hoffman, Michelle's mother. I could not find anything about Michelle's early life and the reasons why she had become the foster child of her aunt and uncle. But I did find that Michelle was still in contact with her mother. Michelle had visited her mom, Fran Hoffman, in late August for a few days. Her mother last saw her on August 27th, 1981. She was last seen on Tuesday, September 1st, 1981. This might have been September 2nd because it was after midnight. The newspaper reporting on this in 1981 was very inconsistent, so I'm not 100% sure about this. Her date of death on the Ohio Unsolved website is listed as September 2nd. So this may have been September 2nd. Um, that evening and into early morning, she had breakfast around 3 a.m. with her boyfriend who worked the night shift at a business along the 200 block of South Erie Street. He said that Michelle was going to sleep in his car until he was off work. When he got back to the car after 7 a.m., it was locked and Michelle and her things were gone. Michelle was found on the 17th of September. It was estimated that she had died on the 1st or 2nd of September, shortly after her disappearance, shortly after she was last seen. Her body was located at the rear of Mulberry Park in a wooded area by a man who was hunting rabbits. He reported the discovery to the police. Mulberry Park is not very far from the 200 block of South Erie Street where Michelle had supposedly been sleeping in the car and had just had breakfast with her boyfriend. So if she got out of the car willingly and walked away from the car, maybe to go for a walk in the park, um, that that's not out of the realm of possibility because it wasn't very far away. Michelle was killed by a blow to the back of the head by a heavy object. It was believed that she was killed where she was found. Michelle's uncle, Detective Tom Ross, was one of the investigators at the scene. He saw from a distance that he recognized her shoes and then recused himself from the investigation at that point. Michelle's handbag was not found, according to the newspaper reports at the time. It was not reported in the papers if she was sexually assaulted. It was also not reported whether she was fully dressed or not. Michelle was positively identified using dental records. It would have still been pretty warm in early September in Ohio, northern Ohio. There might have been some cool nights, but it's still warm weather during the day, and I'm sure decomposition was becoming advanced, and that's why the dental records were used. Michelle was buried in Willow Cemetery in Oregon, Ohio. It's located east of Toledo across the Maumee River. Her family requested that in lieu of flowers, donations should be made to the Miami Children's Home in Maumee. I'm wondering if Michelle had spent any time there as a child before she was fostered by her aunt and uncle. Not much was reported about Michelle's murder in 1981 and 1982. Sadly, there were so many young women being murdered then, and so many young men being murdered then too. I mean, the serial killer epidemic was kind of raging then. Michelle Ann Hoffman was only 19 when she was murdered. What happened here? Did Michelle leave the car willingly? Was robbery the motive? There are so many variables and loose ends to this story. If this was the work of a serial killer, Jerry Leon Johns was potentially nearby and free then. He wasn't yet incarcerated. He was from Flat Rock, Michigan. That's just north of Toledo in the Detroit area. So, like, 40 minutes away, 45 minutes away. Here's why I think this might be him. If Michelle and her boyfriend went to breakfast at a restaurant, perhaps Jerry Leon Johns observed them and followed her. In 1985, he followed a woman, Linda Shack, after she finished a late night meal in a restaurant just like this. He attempted to abduct her by first pretending to be a police officer. She wasn't convinced and continued walking to her car, but he followed her and he forced his way into the car. He strangled her and kicked her and left her in a drainage ditch. He kicked her, trying to be sure that she was dead. She very convincingly played dead. Linda Shack survived and brought charges against Jerry Leon Johns and testified against him. And her testimony put him in prison for the rest of his life. Was Jerry Leon Johns in Toledo on September 1st of 1981? Perhaps. This could have also been just some random person whose motive was robbery. Michelle Ann Hoffman wouldn't have had much to steal. She was a young person just starting out in life. She wasn't from a wealthy family. This is a working class family. Her handbag was described as leatherette. It wasn't an expensive item that would have made her a target. So, we don't know, but we're hoping that more people will come forward with information. If you have more information about the murder of Michelle Ann Hoffman, please submit a tip with the Ohio Attorney General's office. I'll put the link that is directly for Michelle's case in the comments, so that you can use that there. Just think about Michelle quite a bit here. Think about how she was so young and she was just starting to get life together there. Had been working, doing well, and just encountered the wrong person at the wrong time, it seems. After such a rough start, a rough beginning in life, you really hope that someone will, be able to go on to better things. And sadly, Michelle was prey to someone with terrible intentions. Let's hope that someone will submit some information that can help law enforcement with her case. Thank you so much for listening to this video today. Thank you for subscribing. Over the holidays, we had quite a few more subscribers. I was pleased to see that. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you if you share the videos, if you help them get out onto other social media. That is really helpful. The more people that see the videos, the more chance we have of solving a case. And cases like Michelle's that have been cold for so long desperately need attention. So really appreciate if you're sharing the video. Thank you so much for hitting that thumbs up button. It doesn't mean that you like this terrible thing that happened to Michelle. It just means you're hoping for justice in her case. The more attention these videos get on YouTube, the more that YouTube pushes them out to other people and puts them in front of other people in their feed. So thanks so much for watching the video all the way to the end. If you comment, YouTube likes a comment of 7 words or more for some strange reason. So appreciate that very much as well. And I hope that you have a good day today. I hope that you're kind to someone out there in the world, and I hope that someone else is very kind to you.